Disclaimer: this text is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to actual persons, organizations, events, or depicted future situations is entirely coincidental. Scenario for the shortest end to the Iran War. Chapter 1: The Silent Corridor. Langley, Virginia. In the conference room known as the Silent Corridor, located on the fourth basement level of CIA headquarters, only the faint hum of the air conditioning drifted with a physical presence. An approval rating of 29.4%. This is the statistical death we are facing. CIA Director William Burns pointed to a red line graph projected on a holographic display. Operation Epic Fury, which began in April 2026, had depleted the U.S. military's missile stockpile in just a few weeks of the war's outbreak, pushing gasoline prices across the U.S. to their worst post-war levels. The president is insisting on an all-out attack on their nuclear facilities. But that is an act of self-destruction that will ruin the American economy and the world order before crushing Iran. The massive individual known as Trump is trying to devour the system that is the state. In the corner of the room, a man sitting in the shadows made a dry sound as he fingered a rosary. A Catholic priest, Father Benedict. His eyes showed not a shred of emotion. To save lost sheep, surgery is sometimes necessary. And it must be the shortest, least painful method. The surgeon for this surgery was to be chosen not by an external enemy, but by internal despair. Chapter 2: The Persian Mirror. An underground bunker in Tehran. General Qasim Hashemi, the leading pragmatist of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, was exchanging glances with a comrade in Washington via a secure server managed by the Vatican. Inside Iran, too, the country was torn between Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei, who cried out for martyrdom, and officers who faced the existential crisis of the nation head-on. Hashemi sent a message, akin to an ultimatum, to the personal device of Vice President J.D. Vance. We are prepared to lose our nuclear data and permanently open the strait. However, our negotiating partner will not be Trump. It is you, someone who possesses a Catholic conscience and values predictability. For Hashemi, this was not a betrayal of his homeland. By eliminating a fanatical leader, it was an extremely rational shortest compromise to preserve the IRGC organization itself and seize sovereignty over the new order. Chapter 3: Afterimage of April 25. The truth behind the assassination attempt at the Washington Hilton was far from the lone act of a fanatic reported by the media. The perpetrator, Cole Thomas Allen, was a zealous MAGA supporter who had once occupied the front row at Trump rallies, waving the stars and stripes. However, what he saw on the battlefield was not a heroic victory, but the corpses of young people treated as disposable for Trump's personal pride. CIA operatives masterfully hacked into Allen's sense of justice. The president you loved is a monster obsessed with power. Only your hands, having once believed in him, can save democracy. An unofficial entry pass. A blank space created by momentarily averting the security cameras. That incident was an advanced psychological rehearsal designed to reinforce the myth of Trump as an immortal leader and to make the impending sure strike look like an unavoidable tragedy. Chapter 4: The Sky of Crucifixion. Mid-May 2026. Air Force One flying over the Atlantic Ocean. Trump was about to grasp his dedicated microphone for a declaration of total victory at a frontline base. At that moment, all communications aboard were cut off by jamming. Standing behind Trump was a member of his most trusted personal security detail. The man whispered into Trump's ear like an incantation the very slogan he had once bestowed. Make America Great Again. A single, dry gunshot. It became the signal for the shortest end to the war that all of America, and the world, had secretly longed for. The news of Trump's death instantly sped around the globe. On street corners across the U.S., people screamed, yet they were enveloped in a strange sense of relief, as if somehow liberated. However, that night, a new monster was born. Trump has died and become a concept. Social media overflowed with hashtags praising the martyred king, giving birth to a new cult, MAGAZ. They defined the assassination as a modern crucifixion by the deep state and positioned Vance as the holy consul inheriting the king's will, making him the object of fanatical worship. The democracy of the past had completely mutated into a personality cult centered on the dead king. Chapter 5, Inheritance of the Stigmata. J.D. Vance, elevated to the presidency, announced an immediate ceasefire with Iran a mere 12 hours after taking office. Crude oil prices plummeted instantly, and lines of tankers returned to the Strait of Hormuz. Although Vance was praised worldwide as an emissary of peace, his inner self was frozen like the seas of the far north. Late at night, he summoned Father Benedict to the confessional. "Father, I didn't know. The assassination, the contact with Iran, was it all a pre-written scenario from the beginning? Was I merely used?" Through the lattice, the priest smiled gently yet ruthlessly. "J.D., peace is about management. And you were a good man, easier to manage than anyone else. That cross you hold is not meant to save you. It is a tool of governance to make the masses obey." Vance returned to the Oval Office and looked out the window. Beyond the gates of the White House, followers of Magazine continued their silent march. They looked up to Vance as God's spokesperson. In Vance's hand was a next purge list handed to him by the CIA. With trembling hands, he picked up a pen and slowly crossed himself. But to whom that prayer was directed, he himself no longer knew.